Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of All Now with Alex. I'm your host, of course, Alex. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Tamika. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you for having me, Alex.
No problem, no problem. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So, can you give the people a quick background about yourself before we dive into the questions?
Absolutely. So, my name is Tamika Thomas. I live in the Southern California area. I am a life and relationship coach. I believe I've been put on this planet to help women heal, elevate, and become become or heal, elevate, and become restored, which stands for becoming her. I'm the mom of 8 and the wife of 1, and I'm super excited of everything that God has put me on this planet to do.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So, man, mom of 8. I know that's a handful there. Now, how do you how are you able to balance being this amazing coach and then also being a mother of 8? Like that's a lot to balance. Like, how are you able to do all that?
Yeah, good question. Whenever I get asked that, my go-to answer is I believe that balance is a myth. And I believe that we don't balance everything. So we have to learn how to live in harmony. For those folks that have ever listened to a band, sometimes the drums are a little bit louder than the string instruments. Sometimes the keys are going a little bit louder. And that's how I live my life. First and foremost, my kids are involved in everything that I do. So I am very like open and honest with telling them like, hey, mom has to go speak over here, or I got to go. I'm going to lock myself in my office for a couple of days because I got to produce this content. So I'm always open with them. But they also understand like right now it's about to be football season. I have a son that's a beast, so my business is going to kind of go to fade to the back, and then that's what's going to be playing loud right now. So
Right.
I just really live my life in harmony and try not to live in balance, because if we live in balance, something is always going to drop and something is always going to fail, but harmony is a lot smoother.
I agree with that. I like how you did that. I agree with that. I definitely agree. Um, so so what inspired you to become a certified inner healing coach?
Yeah, it really came from a place of trauma. I've been able to turn my trauma into treasures. So I've had a lot of trauma. I say that my life is something like a lifetime movie. I feel like I've lived 2 lifetimes, everything from losing a child, from multiple divorces, to having a major stroke at 32, and also from surviving a suicide. So having all of these things is what qualifies me and what inspired me to be a coach.
Okay, okay. Well, that is a lot to go through, um, but we know you got through it because you really her.
Yes, I'm her.
So speaking of you being her, how do you define her in the context of your work? So we know what it stands for, but how do you define it in your work?
Yeah, so I believe, her starting with the H, it's a woman and a man, but we want him to be him, but it's someone that is walking through their healing. So many people like to say healed, ED, but I believe that life is always going to bring us challenges, and we have to be able to walk through those healing doors, and not only walk through those healing doors, but be conscious enough to leave the door open so you can help somebody else walk through. So that's the first step. The second step is evolving your mind, evolving your money, right? Because we could be healed emotionally, spiritually, physically, but if you're not healed financially, you got to be elevating. You got to be constantly trying to reach a higher height. So elevating your mind, elevating your body, elevating your soul, elevating your spirit. And then restoration. Restoration means really going back to a place that you were intended to be before the hurt, before the trauma. And then also being in relationship with yourself and with others, like really restoring the relationship with yourself. So many people, the reason why they can't heal is because they have literally locked themselves in a cage, and they are not restored with themselves. So how can you have a positive relationship with others if you haven't restored your relationship with yourself?
Right. No, I agree. I agree. Um, well, you already kind of answered that question. So, okay. So, how does your faith inform your approach to inner healing and empowerment?
I mean, it is everything. So God has used me as a conduit. So my husband's in construction, and I remember one day God, like I heard very clear the word conduit, and I didn't know what that was. So I asked my husband, I said, I keep hearing this word conduit. What is that? And he showed me a pipe, like a piping thing that you hook one pipe to the other. And he's like, the conduit is kind of like a T, and it allows water, or it allows, things to liquids to flow up, down, and aside, but you have to hook certain pipes up. And I was like, oh, that's how God is in my life, and that's how my faith informs the work that I do, because I have to be ultimately hooked up to the source, and for me that's God. So I have to stay hooked up to him in order for me to do this work, because he is Jehovah Jireh, he's our provider, he's our healer, he's Jehovah Rapha, and that, that's for me, that's what I believe. And so I have to stay connected. My faith is everything.
Right. No, I would agree. So, um, what inspired you to start the Tuesday Healing with Tamika part?
Oh man, I love this question. And I love whenever I get to share this story. So years ago, I was working at a continuation school, and it was for teen moms, girls that were pregnant or had children already.
Mm-hmm.
And every Tuesday I would go and I would volunteer my time. And when I would walk in, the teacher would write on the board, "It's Tuesday with Miss Tamika." And the girls would like go crazy, like, "Oh, Miss Tamika's here, Miss Tamika's here." And so I was like, dang, that has like a ring to it. And I was like, I want to use that somewhere down the line. And so I started getting online on Facebook, on Instagram every Tuesday. And I would just say a quick, like, inspirational message, like if I was driving somewhere and I saw something that inspired me, I'd be like, okay, let me jump online real quick. Or if I read something, or if I watched somebody else's podcast and something inspired me, I would then share it. And I would say, hey, 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 it's Tuesday with Tamika. Thank you guys for whoop, whoop, whoop. And then I had stopped for a minute, because the algorithm be algorithm. And sometimes you like, I ain't getting no views, I ain't getting the likes, I ain't getting the shares, right? And so you begin to get discouraged. And then someone reached out to me, and it just took one person, because we all say things like, oh, if my podcast or if my voice inspires one person, I'm going to keep doing it. But when you're not getting that, like that clout like you want to, sometimes it's like, well, I ain't doing this no more, because it's only my mama and my granny now liking it up. So someone reached out to me, someone DM'd me. First, there was one person that said, "You didn't do Tuesday with Tamika today." I live by those. Like, I need those to get me going through the week. And I was like, word? And then somebody else hit me up and was like, I was listening to one of your Tuesday with Tamika, and I decided not to kill myself. And I was like, whoa. So I said, something that came from me serving, a place of service where I would really just go and volunteer my time in this classroom. I took it and I grew it to where now Tuesday with Tamika is 4 years old. We have over 300,000 downloads, and it is thriving. Every Tuesday we pumping out content, and I'm able to interview with amazing people like you and others all around the world, sharing their stories of healing, of elevation, and of restoration.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And it does have a ring to it. Tuesday with Tamika, Tuesday Healing. That's kind of how I came about my name with my podcast. My name is Alex, so I was like, I want something that's got a ring to it. And I was like, you know what? People always say all in all a lot of times, so I was like, all in all with Alex, and I just stuck with it. Just went with it there. So,
That's dope.
sometimes there's greatness in simplicity. So,
Yes.
So, can you tell us about the Becoming Fearlessly Her University and in its mission?
Yeah, so our mission is really just to help women become the best version of themselves. I heard Myron Golden talk about be, do, have. And if anyone has never listened to Myron Golden, he is like the chief inspirational, speaker, and he's amazing. And so I was like, man, so many women want to be. They want to be a wife. They want to be the CEO of their own life and business. They want to be a millionaire. They want to be fit. They want to be a mother, be a wife. They want to be all of these things, but they don't know how to become it. they really don't know how to become it. So my mission is to help women become all the things that they want to be, but they have to learn how to do the things that's going to get them there so they can have the life of that they pray about, that they dream about. So my mission is to take as many women with me. One of my sayings is I lift as I climb. So I'm constantly being, doing, and becoming a better version of myself. And as I'm doing that, I'm bringing women along with me. So right now, the Becoming Her membership, we've had hundreds of women that have walked through the door, and we just opened up a new cohort about a month ago, and it's thriving, because women, we were created to produce. But sometimes we just don't know how to get there. We don't know how to become the person that we're supposed to be. So that's our mission, is really just to help women become. You can't you're not it yet, and we're always, Michelle Obama's book Becoming was really transformational in me even naming the program, because it's a continual process. It's something that we're always doing. One of my daughters is getting ready to go away from college, so I'm becoming a mom with only 5 kids in the house and not 8 kids, right? So I'm always becoming a different version of myself.
I like that. So how do you help women turn their trials into treasures?
Man. So that's another, I just feel like it's a bar that God dropped down on my spirit, because I believe that we all have these imaginary treasure box that we walk around with, but we don't know that they're treasures. We don't know that that man breaking our heart or that woman breaking our heart is actually a treasure. We don't know that the us losing a child before we were able to give birth is a treasure, right? We don't know that even if we go a little bit deeper, that molestation that happened in childhood, or our parents getting a divorce, or all of these things are treasures. And why, Alex, do I say that they're treasures? Because we're able to look at them and say, wow, when we run across another woman that has been through it, or another man or a child or a girl that has been through that, we're able to say, you know what? You're able to get through it. And you know how I know you can get through it? Because I went through it. Look at my value. Look at how bright I shine. And if I'm able to carry this stuff, and some of the stuff we need to release, but if I'm able to carry this and turn all of this hurt and pain into a treasure, if I'm able to turn all these trials into a treasure, how much more can you do now that I'm giving you the roadmap and showing you the way?
I would agree. It's always good to have examples. You know, we don't look at it like that when it comes to stuff like that, but it's good to have examples so you can so people can understand, like, hey, the world's not about to end for me just because I went through this particular situation. There is quote unquote light on the end of the tunnel, as they say. Um, so yeah, I like that. I like that. So what are some of the common challenges you see women facing in their healing journeys?
One of the things is that I see over and over is women running to familiar and being afraid of the unfamiliar. So women often will run to a man that looks like, talks like, smell like somebody that they just finished getting, healing over the heartbreak that this person done. And they'll say things like, oh, he reminds me of my dad. He reminds me of something. I feel like I've known him forever. And I'm like, sis, that's not a good thing. And this is for men and women, right? It's not a good thing when someone is so familiar. In fact, it should be a little bit uncomfortable. It should be unfamiliar. That's how you know that you're breaking the cycles. That's how you know that the healing is taking place, because you are not attracting the same thing. So that's one of the things. And then also not being able to implement boundaries. When a person is like physically healing and they had, like, let's say they had a stroke, or they had a heart attack, or they have some type of terminal illness, they will often go into ICU. And ICU is isolated. ICU, the intensive care unit, no, not a lot of people can come in there. Only the people, maybe one person at a time, one visitor at a time. They don't allow a lot of people to come into that room because this person is healing. I say when we're going through the emotional and mental, physical, financial healing process, we need to go into a suburbial ICU, and we need to not let a lot of people in. We need to go in there and go in that incubator and let the work and the healing process happens without allowing so many people come in and out. So that takes boundaries, Alex. That takes people saying, you know what? No, I'm not going to the family function. No, I'm not going to the turn up. No, I'm not maybe even going to that church that I've been going to ever since I was a little kid because it doesn't serve me anymore. It takes those hard boundaries. And when people are not able to implement that boundaries and go into that metaphorical ICU, they continue a cycle of dysfunction.
I agree. I definitely agree. Um, so can you share a six? Yeah. Can you share a success story that comes to mind of a client that you've coached through transformation?
Absolutely. I have tons, but one of my absolute favorite is I had this client, and we'll leave her name confidential, but she worked with me in a very short period of time. She joined one of my programs that was a 6-week program, and she kept saying she didn't really know what she wanted, but she just wanted happiness. And that's what most people come to me about. They're like, I just want to be happy. I want to not be sad all the time. I want to, be able to spend time with my kids. And I was like, there's more. And until they acknowledge it, until my clients have the strength to acknowledge what they really want, we'll go around in circles. So the first couple of sessions, that was the work, me just trying to get her to acknowledge what she wants. Well, Alex, she was in a relationship with this man for 7 years, and she wanted to be a wife. She wanted to be married. And so I'm like, okay, sis, like you could literally be walking down the aisle at the end of these 6 sessions if you do X, Y, and Z, because this process only works if you work it. Like, I ain't got no magic wand. There ain't no sage. There ain't none of that happening, right? This is me, you, and God really walking us through this process. And so she did everything to the T. Whatever I told her to do. I had her write forgiveness letters. I had her, do self-care work. I had her do time management. I had her do all of these things. On our 5th session, she came into the session, Miss Tamika, coach. He asked me to marry me. And I'm like, of course he did. By the 6th week, Alex, they were walking down the aisle before our sessions even ended. So that was like dope to me, because ultimately a lot of women, they want marriage. They want to be found. They want to be kept. They want, to be in partnership with somebody. And so I love that story, because what I know just by my work that I've done with men, also because I do coach men, is a man knows what they want. They know who they want to be with before, like, within 3 months. You know what I mean? But sometimes the women are not applying any pressure, or they're not becoming the woman that man needs them to be in order for them to seal that deal. So I love that story. I love sharing about that client and her success.
Cool. So, speaking of six, what inspired you to write 6 books, and which one is the most meaningful to you?
I think that first one, that was the hardest. That my first book is from crutches to stairs, and it's all about like short stories of me, my kids' childhood, think different things that I went through. And I think it's almost like a parent that has kids. We always say we ain't got no favorite, but that oldest is something special about them, right? Because they're the ones that kind of teach you how to be a parent. They're the ones that teach you. And so I feel like my oldest book taught me how to be an entrepreneur. It taught me how to be an author. It taught me how to market. And then it's also, the stories in there are so like near and dear to my heart. So that's the first one. And then from there, I honestly thought I was just going to write one book. I believe everybody has a book inside of them. So I was like, let me just push this book out. I just got to get this book out. And then from there, it was like, okay, like literally, I want to say since 2015, every year I've wrote another book. And last year I wrote 3 books in 1 year. So, and those are also special because it allowed me to push myself to limits that I didn't know I was able to go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you always, being able to get pushed, into a better, higher level is always an excellent thing. So, okay, so as part of the healing process, um, can you discuss the importance of community in that healing process?
Community is everything. So many studies have been done about the 5 people that you are most connected with, and right now we live in this social media age where we feel like we could just be connected to people online. And although that's dope, some of my greatest mentors, some of my own, because I am a coach that receives her own coaching. I say I eat my own cooking. Alex, I don't know if you've ever had somebody cook some food and then you like, did you even taste this? Because there ain't no seasoning on this, right? There ain't nothing good about this food, right? And so I always say before I serve something, I taste it first, right? So before I serve any of the healing, any of the modalities that I believe in, I'm ingesting it. And then I also have my own coach. I have a business coach, I have my own life coach, I have a financial coach, I have all these other coaches to help me in my process as I'm teaching. And so I need community. And I think, you know, ever since we've been alive, whether it's your church, whether it's your family, whether it's school, we operate best in community. We go to school and they put us in groups. You sit at this table, this is the red group, this is the green group, and then you are able to work together, learn, and thrive, right? When you go to church, you in the young adults class, the primary class, whatever. When you're on a football team, you got the DN, the big boys, you got the linebackers, the defensive line, the O line, you got so we're always in groups. We're always in community. So we heal best also in community because it's our natural state of being. What trauma does is trauma makes us isolate. Trauma tells us, stay by yourself, don't be in community, don't tell nobody your business. Everybody done heard they mama, they grandma, they auntie say, what happens in this house stays in this house, don't tell nobody. But when you get into a safe community, you're able to release all of that stuff, and we heal best in community.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would agree. Um, so what role does fear play in hindering personal growth? And then how do you go about helping women overcome it?
Fear is, there's an acronym that says fear is false evidence appearing real. And I think that we all have that. We all have some type of fear. What I've learned is in the work that I do, most women are afraid of getting past their trauma because they don't know their true identity. They're married to that trauma. They're married to that hurt, that pain, that like this is who they always been. They always been the girl that got bullied. They always been the girl that dudes dogged out. They've always been that. So now when they lose that, they have a fear of, okay, well, who am I? Who am I now? Like I have to reinvent myself. I have to become somebody that I've never been. And so there's this fear of holding on to their past because they don't know who they truly are. And real talk, Alex, they don't know if they're going to even like themselves. They don't know if they're going to like who they are on the other side of releasing all this pain and trauma. So I have to tell them, and I teach them, you holding the pen. You have the power to rewrite the story. You got the pen in 0 to 18. Your mama, your daddy, your cousins, your family, whoever, they wrote that story. But once that ink dropped on your 18th birthday, you pick up that pen and you start rewriting. So now we get to say what our identity is. And there's no fear in that, right? Because I get to be whoever I want to be, right? I get to fail if I choose to fail, and that's on me. I get to succeed if I choose to succeed, and that's on me because I'm holding the pen. I have the power. So there's no fear in that when you already know that you're the author or the co-author, I like to say, of your life. There shouldn't be any fear attached. So that's what I tell women. I teach them how to rewrite their story so they could be the person that they've always wanted to be.
Okay. So can you share some practical tips for women looking to start their healing journey?
Absolutely. I kind of already shared this, but the first one is acknowledge. You have to acknowledge that the thing happened. So many people edit their story. So they'll say stuff like, yeah, my daddy wasn't in my life, but he did the best that he could with what he had. No, not necessarily, right? That hurt you. It hurt you that you grew up fatherless. It hurt you that your mama wasn't there the way that you needed her to be. It hurt you that that divorce happened. It hurt you. So acknowledge it. The first step is acknowledging your feelings. The second step is properly labeling your feelings. So many times, and I'm going to go here, Alex, in the African American community, especially, we think that the only feelings are mad, sad, and hungry or something, right? Like we got three feelings. We don't know how to go through all the feelings, right? We just think you mad, you sad,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And we have to learn how to properly. So after you acknowledge it, you have to properly label those things. Sometimes it's embarrassment. Sometimes it's loneliness. Sometimes it's confusion. Sometimes it's anxiety. Sometimes it's depression. It's these feelings that are natural emotions that come in and out of our body, come in and out of our mind. But if we don't have the words, if we don't know how to properly label them, we gonna stay stuck. And I'm just mad. I'm just mad. I'm angry. Especially for a lot of Black women, we get labeled the angry Black woman, when in reality we're hurting, we're sad, we're mad. We have all these other feelings that we're embarrassed, we're um so just, there's a gamut of feelings that you may be feeling, but no one has ever taught you to properly label them. So after you acknowledge, after you label, the next step is you have to forgive. Forgiveness is a huge, huge reason why people stay stuck. We say things like, it don't even matter to me. Like, I don't care about that. I'm over that. I'm over that. But in reality, you haven't forgiven. You haven't forgiven yourself, and you haven't forgiven that person that offended you. So walking through forgiveness is huge. And then also the biggest one that a lot of people neglect is celebrate the small stuff, right? Celebrate the fact that what used to piss you off and what used to make you stay in the bed and cry for days, now you only cry for 5 minutes. Celebrate that. Celebrate the fact that you not, when he texts you, hey big head, you not getting all giddy, you like, boy, whatever, block. You know what I'm saying? Celebrate these little things that you do, that you accomplish in your healing journey. Celebrate the fact that you get up every morning and you write your gratitude list and you write your non-negotiables. Celebrate, like, learn how to celebrate. And I think a lot of times in the African American community, we don't know how to do that. When we get happy, when we celebrate, and when we have all this joy, people be like, boy, go on and sit down somewhere. You ain't even all that. Oh, you think you all that. So then we learn how to, like, quiet ourselves. We learn how to make ourselves smaller to fit into what other people feel like we should have. So celebrating yourself is huge in your healing journey.
Okay. Okay. Um. So, what inspired you to create the restored community, and how does it support women?
The Restored Community is another one of my babies, and it is a Facebook group with over 450-ish women there. And that actually happened in COVID because so many people were looking for intimate ways to connect. We lost the ability to have in-person groups, and I was doing a lot of stuff in person, and we lost that ability. So I just was like, okay, I'm a creative, everybody else got a Facebook group. Let me see what this is about. So I created the Facebook group, and it just began to grow. I was doing giveaways, and I was, going live in the group once a week and just giving practical tips and coaching women for free, because one thing that COVID taught us is that we needed to heal. COVID was like a huge eye opener to a lot of people. And so I was like, what a better place for women to feel safe. It's a closed group, so people can't just see any of the content in there. And I have moderators, and I have different people that post content in there all the time, because listen, Alex, we living in harmony. I'm not here trying to do it all, right? So I have other people that can help me and that can produce content as well in the group. And it really is a safe place for women to become restored.
I like that. Um. So, can you discuss the importance of self care in the healing and empowerment process?
Yes, yes. Going back to that analogy of being in ICU, they'll tell you to do physical therapy, and physical therapy is a form of self care. When you're in the hospital, people will come and visit you and say, well, what do you want? Like, what do you want to eat? Do you want a book to read? They'll fluff your pillows. You might have somebody come by and comb your hair, but help you brush your teeth. These are all self-care practices. While we're on the healing journey, so many women think self-care is about getting your nails, getting your hair done, going to the spa. Now, listen, I love that. I love all of that. I love going to get my nails done. I love going to get my hair done. I love going to the spa. But reality, self-care is checking in with yourself. Self-care is sitting quiet. This evening when I got home, I got a whole lot of babies and a husband that be pulling on me. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna sit in this car for 5 minutes and I'm gonna give myself, because I know I got to get on with Alex tonight. I had just finished a coaching session, so I had a lot of stuff going through my mind. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna sit in this car for 5 minutes. And bet not one of them come up to this car door and ask me nothing, because I'm giving myself some self-care. And then I took it as extra step further, because one of my self-care practices is going to the gym at 4:30 in the morning. And so I was tired. Your girl was tired this morning. So before I jumped on with you, I set an alarm for 10 minutes and I said, like the old folks used to say, I'm going to just rest my eyes. And I
That's
rested my
right.
eyes. And I
That's
rested,
right.
I rested my eyes for a little bit, because those self-care practices that are not the big things, but are the small little things, add up to making you feel a whole, well-rounded person.
That's right. I agree. Sometimes you just don't know how much them little 10 minute closing your eyes, resting your eyes for a little second help out.
They
Ooh,
help out, give you another little strength.
it it do some justice. Oh, man. So how do you address skepticism or resistance in your coaching practice?
Mm. I've learned to allow the tongue in my shoes and the tongue in my mouth to go in the same direction. So I believe that I have nothing to hide, I have nothing to protect, and I have nothing to defend. So I have people that may ask me, well, how you going to help me? How you going to coach me into being a relationship coach when you have a divorce, right? And I just tell them my life is the proof. Right. I'm not about to sit here and defend myself. I ain't never seen out here in California, we got the Lakers, and one of the greatest coaches was Coach, what's his name, West. I can't think of the man's name right off that,
Yeah,
but
Jerry was.
Jerry West, there we go, right? And he never defended himself or dealt with the skepticism, because he was no longer playing basketball anymore. He had the rings to prove who he is. I got the rings to prove it. I got the rings to prove it in my podcast success. I got the rings to prove it in the testimonials of my other clients. But bigger than that, Alex, I got the rings to prove it in my own family. Let me tell you something real quick, and I'm just going to brag a little bit on my babies. So I have one son that's a sergeant in the Army. I have one son that's a sergeant in the Army. I have a daughter that's a phlebotomist. I have another daughter that's in her 3rd year in college. I have another son that's an electrician. I have a daughter that just got a full ride scholarship. I have a daughter that has a 4.5 GPA, and she is being highly recruited by many colleges because of her basketball team. I have a daughter that is the star of her dance team, and my baby boy coming up in the rear. Listen, don't nobody want to see him on the D line, right? Because the boy is solid. He is crazy with it, and he's a student athlete. He holds a 4.0, and he wrecks stuff on that D line, right? That's so why I need to argue with somebody? If you want to be skeptical about the work that, right, my family proves it, because we do the work here before I even take it out to anybody. So I don't even, when people try to come at me and try to ask how, to prove myself, I let them know right off bat, I have nothing to prove. I have nothing to hide, and I have nothing to defend. The work that I've done in my own life and the work that I've done with my family proves the success that I can help you obtain.
Yeah, I mean, just just family alone. I mean, you have 8 kids. I mean, that's a lot for a lot of people can't deal with one or two. And you dealt with 4 times as many, and are being successful in all that, and all your kids are doing great things. I mean, if you can do all that, I mean, you can move mountains. You know what I mean?
Listen.
Just be honest. So if they don't understand about from that, they just don't want to understand it. That's what. So Oh, well, you already answered that question. Okay, so how about this? So how do you stay motivated and inspired in your own personal and professional life? Because
Mm.
I mean, you know, doing everything that you do and you know what I mean, being there for 8 kids and then still being a wife at the same time, like that seems like a lot of different jobs per
Yeah.
se. So how are you able to stay motivated and inspired?
Oh, this is such a good question. And, I wish I had the answer of like, oh, I get up and I meditate but I ain't gonna hold you. It's God and it's my husband. Like my husband is literally my safe place. I don't have to be coach with him. I ain't gotta be no inspirational speaker. I could just be his babe. You know what I mean? And that motivates me because he allows me to be soft and to be strong all at once. And he encourages me when he sees that I'm not up on my game, when he sees that maybe I'm not working on my business that tough, he reminds me like, babe, I remember the days you used to pray for this. I remember you used to say, man, if I could just travel around, I'm gonna see if I could pan this is my speaking. I don't know if you could see it. I have a list of all the
Oh, yeah.
speaking things that I'll do. I think I have coming up, I have about 15 by the end of this year, by December. And sometimes I'll be like, oh my God, like, but he reminds me, you prayed for this. You wanted to go travel around speaking. You wanted to write these books. You wanted to be on these podcasts. You wanted, and so I could be and fall into his chest and cry, but then I could also dap him up and be like, bet, let's get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's get it. And so that's what truly motivates me. And then having that faith and that relationship with God, because the word of God says when we are weak, he is made strong. So I'm able to say, like, God, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm not where, comparison really sometimes gets to me. I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's the one thing that makes me sometimes want to stop because I'm like, man, I'm looking at these people creating this content and I'm like, I'm just as dope as her. I'm just as fire as her. Why she got 100,000 views and I got 100? You know what I mean? And I have to go to God and say, why do you keep keeping me small? And a lot of times God will tell me, I'm building your character. I'm building your character because when I take you to that high place, I don't want you to fall like a lot of people are falling. So that's what really keeps me motivated, Alex.
Okay, okay. I like it. I like it. So can you share your vision for the future of your coaching practice and organizations?
Oh my gosh, I love this. And I want to also encourage everyone that's listening, do this with your life. This is called life visioning. And you're able to imagine and vision. I think one of the things that we've lost as adults is we stop imagining. Like, right? We when you a little kid, you be like, I'm a Spider-Man, I'm a Superman, right? You like got all these imaginary stuff, but then as adults, we stop doing that. And so if I were to literally imagine and sit here and vision what my business is going to be, it will be first and foremost, I'll be able to help and hire like 10 other coaches to be able to do this work and to work from home and to provide for their family. I'll also be able to go into countries like Africa and Kenya and Somalia. I'll be able to go to Dubai and I'll be able to go to Europe because pain and love are universal languages. You don't even have to speak their language to understand those things. And I'll be able to go into orphanages and I'll be able to build like my ultimate goal, Alex, is to build like a community center that's like multi-tiered for homeless mothers and their children where they receive life skills and drug and alcohol counseling and all of these things because those are all parts of my story. My mom was addicted to drugs when I was a child, and I'm so. In addition to me being the mother of 8, I'm the oldest of 11. I have 10 younger brothers and sisters. So I've always known what it means to be like in this big family and to deal with struggle and to deal with hardship. So I would have like this dope company, like this dope, amazing company that just helps people heal, that helps people be restored. I'll also take my husband off his job. My husband owns his own construction company. And I'll be like, babe, come on over to this side. Let's work smarter, not harder.
Right. I like that. I like that. Um, so what are different ways that listeners can connect with you and learn more about your coaching and resources?
Awesome. Before I even share that, Alex, I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story and to share, just my vision and what brought me to where I'm at today. But folks that are listening, I'm Tamika Thomas everywhere on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Threads, on Facebook, for the folks that's still over there on the Facebook.
Yeah.
It's just Tamika Thomas. And then you can also email me at tuesdaywithtamika.com. And then you can go to my website. There's a lot of free journals, free content over there to help you get started on your healing process. If you go to Tuesday with Tamika on anywhere that podcasts are streamed, you can listen to the podcast. New episodes are dropped every Tuesday. And then go to tuesdaywithtamika.com to get more information about joining our Becoming Her program or any of the other programs that I have going on.
Okay. Yeah, and I definitely appreciate you taking the time out today and coming on, and telling your story and talking about, the healing journey that all people need to go through, especially women, for sure. Because I mean, the world wouldn't run right without women. So, what I mean. I don't know if people understand that. If they don't, they better start learning. So definitely, everybody that's out there watching, you guys make sure you go in the description. You go follow Tamika on all her social media, support her and everything she has going on. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know by now, you should know that Tamika is her.
Hey.
I did it. But once again, thank you, Tamika, and everybody that's watching. You guys have just watched another episode of All in All with Alex, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.